Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. I'm trying to enunciate Toadstool Sports so that Descript can figure it out correctly when I try to get it to transcribe this. What's up, everybody? This is a bracketology show, the bracketology hangout. I had some of my non-alcoholic beers explode in my fridge back there, in the mini fridge back there. Again, very pissed off about it, obviously. Don't want to waste any of those beers, although none of them are like unique to me. Like I've whatever ones get wasted, like I've had, and nobody's getting wasted here except for the beers because it's non-alcoholic. But no, whichever ones it happened to, like they're ones that I've had before anyway. So whatever. But I have to clean it all out. For some reason, the door on the fridge just like wasn't shut. Fucked everything up. Whatever. Bracketology. That's what this is. Whether people like it, I have no idea. I did it once last week. I'm doing it again tonight. Just I updated. I do my own bracketology, so I'm my own Lunardi here. So I do it basically like I use like my own sense of it, plus kind of like an amalgam of all this other bracketology stuff. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to describe, but that's kind of how I do it, and I basically go also based off of what just happened with some of these teams. So I'm trying to predict what the March Madness bracket is going to look like, at least as of right now. And then the conference, the like automatic bids from the small conferences is a different thing. Like I'm trying to say basically like this is the best team in the conference, and or this team probably has the best path to win that conference right now, unlike Lunardi and these other guys who literally just go, this is the team that has the best record in that conference right now for the small conferences. So I don't do that. I do more of the standard type of bracketology for the bigger field, basically, like the at-large bids, if that makes sense. And that's more based off of how teams are doing. So in that respect, I'm not going with like who's the better team or whatever, even though I guess I could do that to try to predict what is that team going to do in the future. But I don't know. I do that mix of both things. So for the bigger conference teams, I'm basically just going by what I'm trying to predict what the bracket makers are going to do, basically. So in some cases, that's not the better teams. All right, so this is the updated one. There's not a whole lot of a difference here at the top seeds here. Number one, all the same teams are at the number one seed from last week to this week, which is Arizona, Michigan, Iowa State, and Connecticut. The only difference is that Michigan State dropped from the overall 1 seed to the overall second 1 seed, if that makes sense, because they lost to Wisconsin. So that knocked them down very slightly, but Michigan's still elite, obviously. They're still a 1 seed. Arizona jumps up to the very top spot because I believe they still don't have a loss yet. I think they won again against TCU maybe the other day. And then Iowa State and UConn remain in those spots as well because they haven't really done anything to change their positioning. Duke still remains atop the 2 seeds. They're staying standing pat, basically. Pretty much the same with these 2 seeds. Purdue, I did move Vandy up, I think, even though they were on the 2 line, but I think I moved them up slightly because they did have that win over Alabama, and I believe they're still undefeated as well. Gonzaga projected to win the West Coast Conference. They're definitely a strong team, still hanging on to the number 2 spot, but Nebraska has moved up to the top 3 spot as they continue to win and surprise me and shock everybody. Who was it that they beat this? I don't even remember. They had another win this week. I can't even remember who it was. I'm trying to remember. I went through it all earlier. I tried to have it all in my mind. I'm like, I don't even know, man. But I still don't think Nebraska. Oh, yeah, they beat Ohio State, Indiana this time. They beat Michigan State the game before that. But I'm still not totally sold on Nebraska, to be honest. But they do keep winning. They're on the 3 line right now. Houston is there as well. I think Houston is probably the better team over Nebraska, but that's neither here nor there. Houston, I believe, continues to just hang in there in one of those top spots as well. Or actually, Houston, did they lose? Did I knock them down? I forget. I forget if I had them as a 2 or a 3 in the last bracketology. I should know, and I should just remember where they were on the last one. But you guys can go watch the previous iteration of this to see. What the hell, man? I'm trying to look at Houston real quick, and it's like, I don't know. My Firefox is not abiding by what I want to do. No, Houston keeps winning. They beat Baylor after having a close call against Texas Tech. So Houston hasn't really done anything to hurt their standing there. BYU and Michigan State fill out the rest of the 3 seeds right now. Not really much of a surprise or a change there. Illinois, Alabama still remain on the 4. I think Texas Tech moved up from a 5. They played Houston close, even though they did have a loss. They haven't really hurt their resume. Whereas Kansas was the team that dropped from the 4 seed to the 5 because they did lose to West Virginia, I believe is who that was. So Kansas got knocked down a peg. North Carolina remained on the 4 line. Kansas now at the top of the 5 line after that loss. Louisville continues to kind of roll along. Arkansas, those 2 teams remain on the 5 line. Virginia, I believe, moved up from the 6 line, but that was more, it wasn't really what they did. It was more that Tennessee got knocked down from the 5 line all the way down to the middle of the 6 line because they lost to Florida. Although, really, that's not that bad of a loss. It's just that Florida was an unranked team, so Tennessee is going to get docked for that. Florida is on the 6 line with them. Clemson remaining there as well. I believe they're staying where they were. Villanova, I believe, slightly moved up, if I want to say, but we're now getting into kind of the bubble territory now, so I forget how these teams kind of jockeyed around. But the 7 line, we have SMU, Utah State, the winners of the Mountain West Conference as projected right now. Georgia and Iowa all remaining there. Iowa did take that loss to Illinois, so I'd like to have Iowa maybe a little bit higher, but this is where they are right now. St. Mary's starts out the 8 line. Very solid team in the West Coast Conference, obviously. And what I think is an underrated St. John's team here, man. If they're an 8 seed, they're probably going to be a pretty substantial favorite over any of these 9 seeds they might draw. Seton Hall also on the 8 line, and then UCF moving up as UCF continues to surprise people. I think I had them a couple of seeds lower than this in my previous bracketology. They beat Cincinnati, bouncing back from that loss to Oklahoma State, but they still did have that win over Kansas the game prior to those. The 9 line, we have USC still hanging on to a spot here. Miami actually moving up slightly. Miami, Florida, of course. St. Louis being the winners of the Atlantic 10 and being a very, very strong team, man. Looking very good in that conference. At the point where it almost is looking like they might dominate the conference, which is insane. They handled VCU. They're sitting on the 9 line. I think, as I said last time, but I just think it's even more solidified now that if St. Louis does not win the Atlantic 10 tournament, as long as they don't do something really bad, they have a very strong at-large case, and we might get a bid steal in the A10 if another team wins the A10 tournament. Auburn filling out the 9 line there. The 10 line, we do have Indiana getting in as a bubble team here. I think I might have had them in the play-ins in my last bracketology. They're getting one of the last buys to the round of 64 here. NC State there as well. Kentucky really falling off, man. That loss to Missouri, not a good loss. This Kentucky team struggles, man. I still think they're way better than they look, though. Like, according to Ken Baum's rankings and stuff, like, imagine if Kentucky is a 10 seed. He's got Kentucky as almost cracking the top 25, and they might be barely in the tournament. They would be a dangerous 10 seed, man. And then Ohio State rounding it out, actually getting the last bye into the round of 64 for me right now. They just went out to the Pacific Coast. They went 1-1 out there. Basically did kind of what was expected out there. Then we have the teams that are the last four in now for me in the play-in games are Texas A&M and Oklahoma State. I think I had Oklahoma State hovering in this range in my last bracketology as well. A&M, just one of these teams that they're probably just going to be hanging around near the bubble the whole time. This is an old Big 12 matchup that would now be SEC versus Big 12, so it's allowed as a playing game. And then the other playing game between the other of the last four teams in are UCLA and Virginia Tech. That's what I have right now. Although, really, I think UCLA is probably a little bit better than that, too. Ken Baum has them 39th, so interesting situation for some of these teams here, man. Probably they deserve to get in, maybe even a little bit higher than that. Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State, actually, maybe not. So they're going to be kind of those bastards that get in that aren't really as good. If this holds like this, they're teams that are in like the 50s and 60s, Ken Baum ranking-wise. It's just that their resume is enough to get them in right now, which means that LSU and Baylor got dropped out for me into the first four out. And I believe Missouri I may have dropped out as well. So the first four out, we have LSU, Baylor, New Mexico, and Missouri. And then the next four out, further out behind that, Oklahoma, Creighton, way out there now, TCU and Stanford. But obviously a lot could change. Could see any of these teams maybe getting in at some point. But Wisconsin really moved up with that win over Michigan, man. That was a monster win for Wisconsin. And they probably do deserve to be in the field based on Ken Baum's rankings. They'd struggled for a while, but Ken Baum has them 38th. Obviously not terrible. Then we have the conference winners. Some of these have changed. As I have South Florida actually winning the American now instead of, I forget, who did I had Tulsa before. Tulsa has really dropped off, man, with a couple of losses. So I have South Florida grabbing that bid right now, though we'll see. That conference is a little bit wide open between South Florida, still Tulsa in the mix there. I think Tulane might even be in the mix. Probably not going to be them, though. Memphis is kind of in the mix there as well, as they always are. And Temple might be in there as well. The America East is Vermont. No change there. Have them as a 16 play-in team, though. Very weak conference there. The other conferences I haven't talked about, I have Austin P now winning the A-Sun instead of Lipscomb. Kind of close between the two. Lipscomb did take a loss recently. I'm not doing it just because the conference records changed, though, but the power ratings changed a little bit. So Austin P slightly the team right now. Well, obviously, a lot of this can change. Montana State hanging on to the Big Sky. Austin P winding up as a 15 seed. Not a very strong conference, the A-Sun, man. And Montana State winding up on the 15 line as well out of the Big Sky. Although that conference could be between Montana State, Montana, Northern Colorado, even Portland State kind of in the mix in that conference now. And for the A-Sun right now, it's really, I think, just Austin P and Lipscomb for the most part. Big South remains High Point. I mean, no change there. High Point getting in. They are a 12 seed along with South Florida, by the way. Big West has a change as UC San Diego has definitely dropped off a little bit, including, I believe, losing to the team that I have winning it now, which is Hawaii. And I have them getting a 13 seed right now. So that's the way that stands right now. Hofstra hanging on to the Colonial and winding up on the 14 line. Conference USA, I had to put Liberty back on the top, man. Middle Tennessee. Power ratings have changed a little bit, so I do have Liberty getting a 13 seed and coming out of the Conference USA right now, but that's a bit of a wide-open conference. It could be Liberty, it could be Middle Tennessee, might be another couple of teams in the mix there in that conference, but it's primarily those two. Wright State hanging onto the horizon, which is usually a cluster of a conference. I mean, you do have some other contenders in there with Oakland still in the mix there, and then Northern Kentucky probably in the mix is not a bad team there. Probably going to be one of those few teams, though, but Wright State hanging on to it and getting it as a 15 seed. Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Liberty, why? Have you seen the scandal that's come out that Cassandra McDonald is talking about Cassandra Fairbanks. She's talking about this podcast that's out there that has interviews with a few women that were taken in by this, I don't even know what you want to call it, this organization that exists that's associated with the University of Liberty. I think they're somewhere off campus, near the campus, and they take in young pregnant women claiming to help them out. And basically they wind up like stealing their babies and like trafficking them. Like they take them away from them and adopt them out and don't let them keep the babies or something. It's some horrific shit going on there. So I don't know, man. Liberty, yeah, I'm not a fan of Liberty. The Jerry Falwell School there. That's your alma mater? Jeez. Yeah. Kind of a, I don't know, they're like a fake Christian school probably. Like one of those, it's like if you watch the Righteous Gemstones HBO show. It's basically, that's how I envision Liberty. I did have a cousin that graduated from Liberty who was a youth pastor. Interesting. They had that program. Interesting. All right, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, so Righteous Gemstones, yeah, it's basically this just, it's big Christianity, basically. It just becomes this corporate husk that's, not really actually Christian. Although I'm not going to knock my cousin who went there. He's a good dude. He's actually, he's out in your neck of the woods now somewhere. I believe he is in Colorado as a youth minister now somewhere out there. So that is what he's doing now after graduating. From my dad's side, a bunch of Protestant Christians on my dad's side. All right. And not my direct cousin, by the way. He's whatever my cousin's kid would be in relation to me. Is that a second cousin? Probably that's what it is. All right. I have Ken Palm up as well. I'm going to look at Lunardi's bracket in a minute. All right, where was I at? Oh, yeah, the Ivy, Yale remains the winner of the Ivy, getting 13 seed. They pretty much should dominate the Ivy, although, again, crazy things could happen, but they're the dominant force in the Ivy this year. The MAC, we still have Marist winning that conference and being a 14 seed, although it's sort of between them, Quinnipiac. Merrimack is kind of in the mix in there. Sometimes you see a lower seed win that conference. Who knows? I mean, Iona is kind of always in there in that conference in the mix as well. So probably one of those few teams, a handful of teams. Still have Akron winning the MAC and grabbing the 11 seed. The remaining 11 seed that did not go to one of the at-larges. So, yeah, Akron, not Miami, Ohio, though Miami, Ohio is in the mix, probably the second best team in the MAC. Bowling Green kind of in the mix just because of their defense, but Akron, for me, they're still the team to beat there. We have Howard winning the MEAC, and I was correct about them covering tonight. This stuff doesn't include what happened today, though, but Howard did cover. I got a lot of those games right on my show this morning. It didn't play any of them, so isn't that great? I have Howard getting literally the last spot in the entire tournament. They're the worst team in this entire field. MEAC, terrible conference. I have Howard getting one of the 16 play-ins. Missouri Valley, I do have Belmont now winning it instead of Illinois State, although it is between a whole mix of teams, man. Belmont, Illinois State, Northern Iowa, Murray State, all those teams are in the mix there for the Missouri Valley. Very competitive conference. And I have Belmont landing on the 12 line if they do get in. The Northeast Conference, Long Island, remains pretty much the dominant team in that conference. Not a good conference, but have them winning, and they're getting one of the 16 play-in seeds for me. So, very, very weak conference. UT Martin winning the Ohio Valley now instead of Lindenwood. Kind of right now it's between UT Martin, Lindenwood, and I forget which other team in there. SEMO, maybe, Southeast Missouri State. One of those other teams is in the mix. It's a very weak conference. I have them getting a 16 seed. Then we have the Patriot. I have Navy winning, even though I was correct about them losing to American today. But I do have Navy still as the best team in the Patriot. I think it's really Navy, then Colgate, then probably American. I have Navy getting a 16 seed as well. It's a weak Patriot conference, man. East Tennessee State winning the Southern still. That hasn't changed. Some other teams might be in the mix in that conference, though some of the teams have kind of dropped off in that conference, like Furman, whatever the other teams are in there. Furman and Chattanooga has dropped way down. Furman doesn't look as good this year. Samford doesn't look as good this year. I don't even know which teams might compete with East Tennessee anyway in that conference, but really it's kind of a wide open conference. I mean, Wofford is in that conference. They won it last year. Might be in the mix again. Mercer in that conference as well. So it's usually the winner is usually from that handful of teams. And UNC Greensboro, I think, has really dropped off. Southland, of course, McNeese, the dominant team there. They dominated Nichols today as well to give Nichols their first conference loss. McNeese, the way better team. I have them getting the 12 seed. They should win that conference again, although, again, who really knows? No Will Wade there anymore. Will Wade is at NC State, by the way, so it'll be good to see him in the tournament. He's also being crazy out there and basically being an insane person and really like grilling his team and talking negatively even when things are going well for his team. We have Grambling winning the SWAC now, which I think I had Southern before. It's probably going to be between Grambling, Southern, and I don't know. There might be a couple other teams that might do it, but they have one of the last two slots in the tournament, the 16 play-in seed, playing against Howard in my bracket here. St. Thomas, we have still winning the Summit. It's probably going to be between them and like maybe North Dakota State. Although it could be a little bit of a wide open tournament there, but hopefully the Tommies get in for the first time. They're fairly new to Division I. They had to go through their transition period. They're trans. They had to go. They're the St. Thomas Tammy, the St. Tammy now, St. Tammy Tammies instead of the Thomas Tommies. They do have, as I always point out, they have Tyler Hero's brother on their team. It would be sweet to see them finally get into the tournament, though, because I do think they're the best team in the Summit. I have them on the 14 line, also East Tennessee on the 14 line, which I forgot to mention. We got Troy winning the Sun Belt still. It seems like it's going to be basically between them and Arkansas State, which it was last year, too. Troy gets the nod still with the better defense, although only getting it as a 15 seed. And then the WAC, that's WAC, finishing it off, still Utah Valley winning the WAC. They are kind of the dominant presence in the WAC now that they don't have to contend with Grand Canyon especially, or also Seattle. Both of those teams moved to other conferences. Utah Valley getting a 13 seed. Now we can check out, let's see what Ken Baum has, Joe Lunardi. He has a new bracketology UI here, by the way. ESPN changed their UI. It's an interesting UI. So he has Michigan as the top overall seed still. When did he update this? Let me see. He updated this. Oh, he hasn't updated it since the 9th. So mine's more updated than his. So I think Michigan had not lost to Wisconsin yet. So he might knock Michigan down. And then let's see what else he has here. He has, I'm assuming the rest of his 1 seeds are the same as mine. He's got Iowa State, UConn, and Arizona, of course. Yeah, so we're in alignment on the 1 seeds. His last 4 byes are Miami, Kentucky, NC State, and Ohio State. Mine are NC State, Kentucky, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. But, of course, remember, he's not factoring in that Wisconsin win over Michigan, so he probably has Wisconsin out of the tournament. So that changed because of that. But I have Miami even more solidly in, though, so we both have all of those teams in. His last 4 in are LSU, UCLA, TCU, and Creighton. Mine are Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, UCLA, and Virginia Tech. So we only align on UCLA. And I actually have LSU, Creighton, and TCU all out of mine. So we differ on 3 teams in the field of 68. He's got Baylor in the first 4 out, as do I. He has A&M first 4 out. I have them in. New Mexico first 4 out, as do I. He has Oklahoma first 4 out. I have them next 4 out. He has Virginia Tech next 4 out. I have them as the last 4 in, so we differ on that. I have Oklahoma State last 4 into it. He has them next 4 out, so we definitely differ a bit here. And Stanford and Missouri, he has next 4 out. I have Stanford next 4 out, Missouri first 4 out, I think. So we differ a lot on those. So I think, how many of those do we differ on? So I have Virginia Tech in, Oklahoma State in, So that differs from his teams being out. And I believe I had UCLA in, right? So I think it's still a difference of 3. I think we still differ on 3 teams as far as the field of 68 is concerned. So, which is a bit of a difference, 3 out of the 68. Like usually it's pretty solid. Like everybody almost winds up in alignment on everything until like maybe the last like 1 or 2 really. So as far as the teams that get in. But anyway, that's it, man. That's going to do it. That's the bracketology. I can put the link. I can share this. I'm actually in view-only mode because I'm logged into it with Toadstool Sports, but I have created it on my personal drive. But I have it shared. It's view-only out there for people that have the links. So I can put that in the show description if people want to check it out. I will keep it updated. That's going to do it. Dirty Sock, thanks for hanging out. And I'll be back in the morning. Learn to Toad on Instagram, Learn to Toad on Twitter. Like, subscribe, leave replies on the channel here. Review on audio, listen on audio, Apple and Spotify. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. Patreon.com/Learn to Toad. And you get some bonus Uke stuff. And follow the Loser Cast. We'll be back tomorrow with a new episode of that tomorrow night. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, guys. Until tomorrow morning, peace.